she's like, this is our first time actually going into the wild grass, and you can actually catch a Pokemon. Are you excited? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, they were like, yeah, well, that's kind of cool. And they were like, yeah, well, with the first Pokemon that first comes out, let's catch it. And I'm like, that's a good idea. Now we just decided to walk through, and they were like, yeah, let's do this. And we walked through the route. Okay. Now, ideally, I did not get into a battle, so I'm just gonna go over here into this set. That's the back set. You know what I mean? So this Pidgey male ends up popping up, which makes it interesting. Now they're like, oh my goodness, it's a Pidgey again. And then Spleefa's like, she's nervous because she's seen the Pidgey earlier, and of course, you know what I mean? It's just like she's like nervous about birds for some reason, of course. Which the intuition is correct. Of course, with her nature, she's prone to flyings. So, of course, I tell Blast to scratch. Of course, when I send him out, I tell him to scratch. And then he scratches hard. He does pretty good damage. He hangs in, of course. But I tell him, he gets hit with the tackle. And I tell him, I look at him and I'm like, Blast, do not take this Pidgey down. We're going to try to catch him to the team. So I tell him to scratch one more time. And of course he scratches it hard enough that it is exhausted. And he gets hit again. So I just tell him, good job, Blast. And I just tell him, I'm like, growl. No. Do I? Do I? Do I? Do I? Or should I just tease it? Should I tease it? Should I wait? Or should I? What would Stefan do? Say no. It's Blue's Clues. It's Blue's Clues. Say no. But I tell him to growl. Of course, I'm not gonna just say it and not do it. You know what I mean? I'm saying it in a weird way. I'm like, tell him, like, make the Pidgey stop hurting you. Growl at it, scare it. We're trying to catch him. And he growls, you know what I mean? And he still hits him, of course. So he tackles him, and I'm like, wow, this Pidgey's brave. You know? In my own sense of saying it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm catching him. And then I throw the Pokeball. Everybody's watching, they're in shock, and boom! Gotcha! We catch the Pidgey. Okay? In the instance the Pidgey gets caught, it gets synced in with the Pokeball. I walk up to the Pokeball, my Pokédex starts blinking, and it's like, Pokemon caught. Pokemon caught. And of course, I pull out the Pokemon, and I pull out the Pokédex, and then it's like scan. It's like please scan Pokeball, and of course scan the Pokeball, and it's like and then of course it's like Pidgey, and then it's just like Pidgey's it's like Pidgey's data is added to the Pokédex. You know what I mean? Instead of saying was. Okay, that's when that instant happens. Okay, every time this happens, this is what happens. Okay, as soon as the Pokeball, it automatically, like, hopefully the developers, I'm saying this in the beginning now, so like hopefully they'll remember. If they don't remember from this beginning process, they need to really write this down to remember it, because it's gonna ruin everything. So it says, scan, please scan, afterwards, of course, I get the knowing. Once I know it from the first time, I just knowingly do it. I pull it out and I scan the Pokeballs when they're on the ground, but first it asks me scan it. Of course I scan it, and then it says Pidgey, you know what I mean? And then it says Pidgey's data was added to the Pokédex. And then as soon as that happens, it just syncs up, and then this pops up. And of course, if you would like, it can say what they say here in the game. That'd be kind of cool. But if they have any other information, add-ons that they like to say, they usually have cool, awesome information that they tell us about Pokemon. But I mean, there's only so much time. You know what I mean? There's so much. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of information to like remember and continue to keep up with. So if they like, they can say it. You know what I mean? It does not like to fight. It hides in tall grass and so on, foraging for food such as small bugs. You know what I mean? And of course, I can see the information, of course, and all that. Now, everybody and all the grandchildren included, they surround me and they look at my Pokédex and they see the information. So they're like, cool. Then Pokédex tells me, do you want to give a nickname to the captured Pidgey? And I say yes. And what I end up nicknaming and name my Pidgey is, I say, I'll name him Wings. Okay? Now I'm going to save that because it has to be saved. You know what I mean? We're not taking no chances, okay? Alright. Now, of course, in that instance, while looking at the information of it, the Pokédex asks me, like, do you want to know information on Pidgey? On the Pidgey that you just caught? And like, yes. And I click over, and of course, it pulls in the sectional, and it shows Wings is lonely. So, sadly, in that instance, it definitely gets interesting. That makes things interesting, but in that same sense, it's still going to be the concept. I'm still catching another Pidgey anyway, of both genders. But knowing how his nature is, that's how his nature is. I can't go back on it, and that's just how he is. Okay? Now, things have been fair for me enough. So, nah. You know what I mean? Just to show you, you know what I mean? I'm human too. So, of course, we're continuing through the route also. Oops. Why is she doing that? So, of course, Spot ends up getting into her, like a Pidgey comes up to her. And it's a male one also. She sends out flames. You know what I mean? And we all watch flames battle this time. Now, Blast is out still. He's out of the Pokeball. Because, we caught Pidgey and all that. So he's out of his Pokeball. So practically, if it would be like, it can be like Heart Gold when the Pokemon follow. But it'll be kind of difficult because there's a whole bunch of us, you know what I mean? And if it's in the gameplay of the other people being able to, you know what I mean? The other trainers being able in the further tense to have Spot, Spleefa, and Splenda follow them, then it's going to make it way more harder. But I mean, it look kind of cool watching all of them follow you with the Pokemon following you. You know what I mean? Splendid, Leafite, and Flames following you also. So it'd be kind of cool. So, So, the only hurtful thing that would really be hurtful is in the video game, of course, she wouldn't be my girl. She'd be everybody's girl. But it wouldn't hurt me as bad because in the actual knowing movie and anime, she is my girl. So, that's kind of a spoiler, but we all know this, kind of in a sense. Of course, Flames is a little excited, so she's telling Flames immediately to just scratch and attack, okay? And she's like, of course, she's like, the Pidgey keeps, you know what I mean? This Pidgey's gonna keep hitting you. Take it down, just keep scratching. You know what I mean? She's just on attack. Of course, this Pidgey's got will and he's hanging on. And she's pretty exhausted, but still hangs on. And of course, gave a huge boost. Okay, we're not going to go through that whole section because we don't need to, for real. I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna have to sit right here, me and her. You know what I mean? We'll all come through like that. So of course, Spleefa comes through. And another Pidgey comes at her, and it's another male. And she sends out Leafa this time. She's like, Leafa, let's win this time. That's what she says this time, when Leafa comes out. And of course, Leafa comes out super spontaneously ready. And she just says off rip, growl, Leafa. And of course, you know what I mean, Pidgey's a little scared, but it still tackles. And it hits her with a critical hit. And that's important, okay? And that actually happened too. That's wild because it's text. So the critical hit happens, and everybody, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. Once it hit her, like everybody says, like Spleefa, don't be nice to the, like, don't mean this is a wild Pokemon. Like, don't let it like take you down. Like, you know what I mean? Practically in the sense of that, but they're like, don't let the Pidgey beat you this time, Spleefa. You lose, we all lose. You know what I mean? It pumps her up, and it pumps Leafa up, and she tells her tackle. Of course, this Pidgey's doing tackle again. Of course, she's just like, keep doing tackle. Of course, and it's in the process of the tackling happening and all that, okay? Now, the thing that they need to also do that I didn't state off of it being the after effect in the newer part of the battle and us being on the route, including from me being in past battles with these Pidgeys, including my past battle of me catching one. I have an idea. How Wings is, he's a lonely male Pidgey, okay? Ideally, he's in the class of he feels lonely to his type of, like, you know what I mean? He doesn't get along with other Pidgeys for real. That's how he is, okay? Ideally. He just doesn't feel along with other Pidgeys in the wild. Like, he was one of those Pidgeys that got casted and you felt, you know what I mean? Then he stumbled onto the route. You know what I mean? That's how it would really be. So he was one of the Pidgeys, like, he was the first Pidgey that came to us, of course, because, you know what I mean, he got exiled practically by the other Pidgeys. That's what it's going to be, okay? And of course, it's going to be more interesting because we come back to this route, and some of these Pidgeys in Pokemon stay at the same routes, so when he gets stronger, and he, you know what I mean, it's going to be interesting. So we'll get to that concept also and more. But it's more into the tense part right now because Leafa is exhausted. And the Pidgey is exhausted also. So everybody's like shocked and like, you know what I mean? As soon as she got hit and she's starting to be exhausted. But she's like, it's okay. Way to hang in there, Leafa. Tackle, let's do this. And of course, Leafa does tackle, and it goes down. And of course, you know what I mean? Leafa's like, she shakes it into it. She's, you know what I mean? Does the strongest tackle she could while she's exhausted. Of course, Overgrow kicks in. Because she said it, you know what I mean? It happens, and she actually, you know what I mean? She gets a little bit bigger. Leafa gets a little bit taller, you know what I mean, in her stance. You see her sitting down right now, but when she hits Overgrow, she stands up, like how she looks like when she's in oppositional battle. So, of course, that ends up happening, and she gets a good boost. Okay.